lovely to see everyone here and hearing the stories, as I was saying. So, just wanted to sort of speak to you a bit about obviously the bill on Tuesday. I know it's a big decision for everyone to be making. And having listened to your constituents and some of the people you're representing, I'm just wondering how you're feeling about that deal. If you feel there's been some concessions, but I feel like the concerns people have here is people who might have to be reassessed, what might happen. And we're looking at the NHS and the issues we have with waiting lists. Obviously, employees not necessarily being disability friendly, not flexible for people. So at the moment, without that consultation with the disabled community, how are you feeling in terms of the support for the bill on Tuesday?
I think there's lots of good things in the bill. So it is putting £1 billion into helping people into work. There's lots of support for people to get into work, so the right to try a job, and if it doesn't work out, come back and be on the same benefits package. I've already started looking at the sort of employment support that people are going to get and the insistence on reasonable adjustments by employers to get people into work. And in the end, if we can get people into work, that's the right outcome. In terms of the PIP debate, today's been really useful for me, so I will certainly take away everything that people have said to me and reflect on it in advance of Tuesday's vote. I'm pleased that the government has come up with a package of concessions which essentially say everybody who's on a current entitlement can keep that entitlement. I think that's very important. In terms of the future, as I say, I'll reflect on what people have told me before I vote on Tuesday. I'm very committed to making sure that people who can work are supported into work in the ways I've talked about, and that anyone who absolutely can't work is properly looked after. It doesn't have to go through lots of reassessments. So we've said that people who have conditions which are unlikely to change and do prevent them from working won't have to go through reassessments that have been the case up to now. I'm very pleased also that for the first time in I think a decade there's been an above inflation increase in universal credit. And also we've been able to extend additional benefits to people who are on universal credit. So for instance, everybody on universal credit who has a child will now make sure that child is eligible for free school meals, take more than 100,000 children out of poverty. And I'd like to see us do more on child poverty as well. So I'd just like to say a big thank you to everyone for sharing your situations and your stories with me today. And as I say, I absolutely will take away what you told me and reflect on it. Thank you to Laura and everyone at the kindness community for everything you do.
So a lot of this is coming down to money. So will the government be celebrating saving money while people are losing their PIP, their homes and even their lives under the new ruling by requiring the 4 points in a single category?
So no one will be celebrating anything. It's about getting this package right in all the ways I've talked about already. So the ultimate objective is to get people into work and make sure people are able to work and increase their income, and that's the way ultimately you give people a good quality of life.
Requiring 4 points in a category though, those people are so unlikely to be able to work.
That's obviously something for us to look at and take away and reflect on as a result of today. So we will do that. And I know the government is doing that. So thanks everybody again for sharing everything that you've been able to share with me today.
And thank
it's
you
been some amazing stories. Well done everybody for the work you do being part of this community, and also I've heard some very inspiring stories of people continuing to sort of fight the fight to live the best life you can for you and your families, no matter what your circumstances. And I think that's amazing and inspires me.
Karen's got a question as well.
Hello, I've got an idea where you can get your money from, that, well, the government's money.
Where we find
basically, Jeff Bezos has gone and has a £30 million wedding in Italy, and he's a non-taxpayer in the UK for Amazon. That's a good idea to recoup the money from huge corporations, don't you think?
Well, two things about that. Obviously, Amazon have the largest depot in Europe, based in Dartford. They do already actually pay a lot of tax. They pay a lot of employers' national insurance. They pay a lot of business rates. There's just about to be a digital services tax come in, which Amazon will be liable for as well. Jeff Bezos lives in America, so personally we are able to tax him. We do need to make sure that business pays its share of tax. We've always said that people who are able to pay the most tax should pay the most tax, and people who aren't either pay nothing or very little. That's the philosophy and the principles that we're using, and we'll find ways to raise money so we can improve health services, schools, justice system, etc. Laura talked about the health service earlier. The health service is a really vital component in all of this, so that lots of people in this room who use the health service a lot get a better service, and I'm absolutely committed to that. We're seeing waiting lists come down, we're seeing more GP appointments. It's still very slow change, we need to see that accelerate.
Right, thank you.
For me, it seems like a 2% asset. It seems like quite a sort of obvious solution, and the fact is those people they've made money during the COVID pandemic, whereas a lot of people have suffered who've got more disabilities, you know, so it feels like, from my perspective, would that be a workable solution?
As I said, we need to tax people who are able to pay principal. So we've done a lot of things like put up capital gains tax, increase taxes for non-DOMs who are often avoiding tax that they should pay in the UK because they're claiming they're paying it elsewhere. A wealth tax is an interesting idea, but just about everywhere else where it's been tried, it hasn't raised the money people hoped. In Spain, they introduced a wealth tax about 3 years ago. It was supposed to raise 15 billion euros. It raised about 600 million euros, so less than a tenth of what it was supposed to, because people moved their assets. So I think you're much better off taxing transactions, taxing the sorts of things that rich people do, buying things, buying and selling companies, buying and selling shares, than you are trying to tax the assets. Because unfortunately, rich people are able to find accountants who move those assets elsewhere.
Well, that would be one thing to do, wouldn't it? To do the loopholes.
I'm not wealth that is out there in the economy, and I would be in agreement with you. We need to find ways of making sure that wealth is taxed so that people pay their fair shares because the service is real.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, Laura. Let me give you a kiss.
Thank you.
Thank you.